and I'm a certified yapper. I like to simplify the complex classical stories, and here we are. Today we are going to talk about White Nights of Fyodor Dostoevsky. And I have so many things to say about this book, but for that we have to understand the summary of it. If you don't know what this book is about, let me tell you. So apparently what happened is, it's midsummer in St. Petersburg, and there's this guy and who is strolling the streets, who is wandering around the streets, and he is talking to the houses. And who is he? That guy? He's our narrator. We don't know his name. No, he never told us his name. So that's why we call him the dreamer. Because he lives more in delusion than in reality. This man have no friends, no family, and no one. And he had lived in St. Petersburg for like 8 years, and he still have not a single friend. But he meets a girl and she changes his life just for a little bit. In this book, there are 4 nights, and first we'll begin with first night. Our narrator, he's taking usual stroll, and he spots a girl on the bridge, and she's crying, and he's like, you know what, maybe I should go and talk to her and maybe console her or something, but he can't because he got anxiety. So that's why that man turns away, but then he sees that there's this another guy who is harassing her. So man he is dreamer, he rushes to that girl and then he saves that girl. He shoos that other man away, and then he takes that girl in his arms, and she's just crying and sobbing. That girl's name is Nastenka. And if you don't know Nastenka, let me tell you something about her. She's 17-year-old and she lives with her grandmother. She is sobbing in his arms. He just kind of spills it out. You see, I'm a dreamer. I have so little real life, and I have never spoken to a woman in my whole life. And Nastenka, 17-year-old she's kind of touched by his honesty. Like, oh my god, you know what? At least he's honest. He had never talked to a woman in his whole life. She says one thing. She gives him a warning of sorts that, you know what? Never, do not fall in love with me. I'll be your friend, but don't fall in love with me. That's impossible. And she agrees to meet him on the second night, on the same place. Now, night 2. What happened to the night 2? On the second night, Nastenka, I think she really wants to know who the dreamer guy is, who he really is. So she tells him that, okay, tell me your life story. Tell me something about yourself. He said, I don't have a story. I have never lived a life. I'm just trapped in a dusty one room, and I pretend who I am. I pretend I'm a poet. I pretend I'm a dreamer. And just like that, my youth is gone. I don't have a life. It's a trap. And you wake up one day and you realize that your youth is gone. And she was so touched by the stories because she had herself understood that loneliness. She also tells the dreamer that, you know what, my grandmother, she also keep me pinned to her dress. Her grandmother is blind. She always keep Nastenka in control so she doesn't go anywhere. And that's why she understands loneliness. And her life changes because there's this man. There's even her course of life changes because there's this strange man who rented room in their house. There's this young handsome man who rented room in Nastenka's house, and that was 1 year ago. Now on the third night, you know what? That man whom she fell deeply in love with, who was living in her own house as a rented guy, she fell deeply in love with him. She fell deeply in love with him, and she was like, you know what, I love you. But that guy, he was like, I have to leave. I cannot live with you because I have a job in Moscow and I have to leave, but I will come. That guy said that exactly 1 year after I will come back and I will marry. And you know what? When that 1 year passed, Nastenka said to Dreamer that when you saw me crying, that was the exact day when the 1 year has passed and that guy still hadn't come back. Nastenka said that I know he is in the city. I know that he had come back, but why hadn't he sent any text to me? A letter to me. Why he hadn't sent any letter to me? And on the third night, and when Nastenka tells all of these things to Dreamer, the Dreamer, his heart breaks and he broke the only rules that Nastenka had set for him, that to never fall in love with him, to never fall in love with her. Our dreamer, he was madly, crazily in love with her. So to hide his feeling, but he kind of hides his feeling, and I will send address to that man. I will send a letter to that man, and he will surely come. And they waited whole third night. That man still wasn't there. And Nasenga, she kind of sobbed into his chest. She said, that guy never showed up. On the fourth night, Nastenka, she was totally humiliated. She was so heartbroken and she lost the only hope she had. She was like, Why am I waiting for a man so cruel? He hadn't even came. He never even sent me a text. And your heart is noble. Said that if he doesn't come anymore, I will force myself to forget him, and I'll try to love you. I'll try to be for you because she saw that then our dreamer he loved her, and then she was like, I'll forget that man and I will love you. I will love. I will forget that man and I will love you. And the dreamer he was so excited and he was like, you know what, Nastenka, I love you so much. I loved you the moment I saw you. And you know what? Our story should have ended at this point. You know what? You may think that it's a happy, happy story. Our dreamer and Nastenka, they both have gotten along and everything's just fine. But it's not. God said that, you know what, I will make you happy, we will live together and we will get married. Do you hear the wedding bells? Because I don't, because after just few hours, they were so happy, they were talking, they were laughing, they were enjoying everything. It was fortnight, by the way. The world was perfect for the dreamer and the Nastenka. But somebody from the darkness called Nastenka's name. He said Nastenka. And Nastenka, she saw who that man was, and that man was her lover who was away for 1 year. And you may think that Nastenka will think for a moment before running to him. No, no, no. She ran to him. And she ran to that man. She ran to her lover and then she threw her arms around him and she was like, you know what, you're the only true love that I ever had. And she kind of looked at the dreamer in pity and then she ran away. And then, you know, she didn't ghosted him actually, technically, because she did send him her wedding letter to dreamer. And then the funny thing was, another thing was in the letter she wrote, and then she sent a letter to dreamer and she wrote, oh, forgive me, I love you like a brother, but my heart belongs to him. We are getting married. Please do not be angry with me. And you may think that our dreamer, he would be angry with her. He would despise her. But surprisingly, he was not angry with her. Well, how would he be? Because he loved her. He cannot be angry with her. He just said only one thing, and that was, my God, a whole minute of bliss. Is that not enough for a whole human life? He just said this. And but I have a lot to say about this book. And I have a lot to say about this book. This book, I think, is portrayed as a romantic. It's a lot to talk about this book because people are portraying this book as romance. It's not a romance. You cannot consider this book as a romance. It's a tragedy. And you know what? Some people hate Nastenka because she abandoned him. And to be honest, I don't blame Nastenka because imagine you love someone for 1 year, you waited for them for 1 year, and when they finally return, will you really move on in just a second? I don't think anyone would. People hate Nastenka for no freaking reason, and I don't think there's Dreamer's fault too, right? He saw hope that maybe Nastenka will be his forever, but in his heart, I think he kind of knew that she won't ever be his. And that's the real tragedy, that you love someone and you know that they can never be yours, but you love them despite all the odds. And even after they break your heart, you don't actually hate them. You don't curse them out. You don't despise them. You still love them in some sort of way. 5 out of 5 book. It was 5 out of 4 book. And you know what? Who am I to rate this book? And you know what? For a second, I thought that maybe I should rate this book. But who am I to rate this book? I'm no one, actually. Okay, so I'm not going to rate this book or anything. But I really the only thing I want to say is, to love someone is to forgive them. Okay, if you love someone and to love someone is to forgive them without having any bad intention in his mind. Because you know what, love is that kind of thing that kind of makes you a fool. So that's all it was. So this was the summary and this was my take. I really love this story, and to be honest, it's one of my favorite stories. Not because I romanticize this book like other people do. I don't romanticize it. I just like how things are portrayed, how feelings are portrayed, how heartbreak is portrayed, because you can never be angry with someone who you loved a lot. Anyways, that's all for today. Have a nice day.